Okay.
2, 9.
So today is Thursday, April 20th, and I'm going over a concept you need to have for the state test, and that is coordinate geography. When you're doing coordinate geography, there's two numbers. The first number is called the x coordinate. It's always the one that goes to the side. So that first number tells you how far to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, to the right. The second coordinate is your up-down coordinate. It's your y coordinate. It tells you how far up to go from 0. So we looked at the pool and we said the pool is 6 across, so 6, and 0 up, so 6, 0. That the mall is 3 over and 3 up. And now we're doing sky high. And Amadi says sky high is 2, 9. Let's see if he's right. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Sky high is 2 over and 9 up. Okay. The movie theater. Who can tell me where that movie theater is?
Let's see. Okay, so it's.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to see it. It's like 0.
0 is perfect. 0 over. And how many up?
Let's see.
3. Excellent. And we're left with the fire station. Eli, you want to give that one a go? Or Mila or Bree? Go ahead and put it in the chat. You know it. Fire station. Where's my fire station?
Wait, time something what?
Eli, tell us where the fire station is. It's right here. What are the coordinates for it? You do the
it's 67.
No, you go over first. So you go to 7 first. You put the 7 in first because you always do the x coordinate or the one going sideways first.
Okay.
And then you go up. How far up did we go?
7.
No, look.
Wait, 6. 6.
Thank you. Be careful with those. Okay.
Because I thought it was 6 first, because 6 is higher.
Okay, so let's look for the dog park. If I put the dog park in here, who can find where it would be? If I put the dog park in, and I say my dog park is at 5, 7. I think I could find that on the map.
5, 7.
Yeah. So David, can you explain how to find it?
So you go over 5 and you go up 7.
You go up 7 to right here. And here's my dog park. Right there, DP, dog park. Excellent. So that's the first thing that we haven't covered that you're going to need to know for the test is that when you see coordinates like that, if you have to find something, always know that the first number goes over and the second number goes up. Later on, you're going to get to negatives, and that's going to change a little bit because then it's just how far away from 0 it is. So negatives go like this way and this way. They go left and down. Let's go on to this concept, order of operations. So what I mean by order of operations is what order you do a problem in. So when you're looking at something like right here, you're going to work left to right. But you also always do multiplication before you do addition and subtraction. So in this one, you would go 5 times 32, then you would add 4 to it, then you would subtract 2 from it. And it will make a different answer if you do it that way versus 4 plus 5, which is 9, and then times 32. Okay.
Yeah, because there's also like 1 plus 2 times 3.
Yeah, so you always do parentheses first and then the other things. And we're going to see that when we do the spiral review today has got several problems like that on review 33. If you haven't done it yet, I really recommend you go look at it because it's got order of operations on here. You can always Google order of operations and it will help you see what to do first. But in this case, it means we're going to do 7 minus 2 first. It's in parentheses and that's 5. Then we're going to do the division over here because see, it's in brackets. So we're still in the parentheses. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. And only then are we going to go 6 times 8 to get the answer. It's a little confusing, but you need to practice with it a little bit. And then they also have a couple of problems where you have to find the what these coordinates are. So practicing with Spiral Review 33 is a really good idea today. It's okay if you're behind, just go ahead and work on it. Remember that when you're doing those spiral reviews, you can come back and look at the resources And the answers to the spiral reviews are actually listed there. So I've listed all the answers to the spiral reviews. I haven't done today's yet, but I will. And we only have today and tomorrow, and then we're done with the spiral review. But you guys can keep working on it and checking the answers here. So today, what are we doing today? Let's take a look. Yesterday, you were supposed to finish your end of Mod 11 test. Some of you did that, some of you didn't. If you didn't do it, please take a deep breath, relax. You're going to have time to do that later. But today I want you to switch gears and come along with us onto the next thing, which is Thursday, April 20th in math. It says we're going to do fraction of the fair. And you'll notice I skipped to 1201. I didn't do the pretest. You don't have to submit anything today. We're just doing the lesson. So let's go to it and take a look at it. So this is a whole new unit. A fraction of the fair. Represent and interpret data. So this is how to read charts and things like that. So I'm very excited to be working on his science fair project. And remember, I hinted at you guys that the next Flex Week project is going to be a science fair project. It'll be fun. We're going to do an experiment.
I might do a tomato bottle.
You're not going to plant anything though, because we're only going to do it in a week. So you have to have something you can do quickly. So you're going to be able to represent and interpret data. So you're going to be reading charts and graphs this time. Super important. We have to do that all the time when we're reading the newspaper and learning about things. Let's review what a line plot is. There's a lot of these line plots in the spiral review. There's two pieces of information you know from looking at the line plot. What are they? What are the two things you know from looking at this line plot? What do you see in this plot? Anybody? Amadi, you have your hand raised. Is that leftover? What are we seeing in this line plot? Mila, Amoy, Abby?
2 1/3.
So we're seeing measurement in hours, right? We can see that down here. Measurement in hours is one of the things we're seeing. What else are we seeing? What do these X's mean?
Times students spent studying.
So 2 students studied for 1/3 of an hour. 2 students studied for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Some people studied way more than others. So those are the 2 things you know, is how many hours somebody studied and how many kids did it. How much time they spent studying and how many kids studied. Data is the facts that you're looking at that's represented in a graph. When you do your science experiment, I'm going to ask you to collect some data. We can take the information and represent it in a graph. One way to do that is a line plot, where you put it across the bottom and then you put X's for how many of each. There's lots of ways to represent information. So if you're going to do a line plot, the trickiest thing about it is figuring out how to break up the line. It must be equal. So when you look at it, you're going to want to see the range of values. In this case, you look at the lowest value, 4/8 of a day, or 1/2. And there's really nothing smaller than that, is there? And then it goes up to almost 1.5 days. So we circled the smallest and the largest amount. So we need a graph that's going to show from 1/2 to 1.5. So here we have 1/2 at the lowest and 1.5 at the highest. And then we're going to have to break it up into 8 pieces each one, and we're going to have to put 1 in here somewhere. So since this is 1.5 and this is 1/2, then we have 3 pieces here, if that makes sense. We've got one that's 1. Oh, over here. Here's 1.5. Here's 1/2. Actually, I guess just 2 pieces. This is halfway between 1.5 and 1/2 is 1. So there's just going to be 2 pieces, 1 line in the middle. To decide how many tick marks we need, we must count. So we know it's in eighths. So to get from 4/8 to 1 4/8, you count, and there's 9/8 between, or 10 spaces, and you got to make them kind of even. So here we are, the ones in the middle, and then we can split that in half and split these in half. I usually go for halves because then it comes out more even. Between the 1.5, we split it in half, 1 1/4, 1 1/8, 1 3/8. Now we can use the recorded data to create the line plot. And we're just going to look and see how many of each number we have. So we only have 2 4/8. It's here and here. So we put 2 X's there. We've got a 6/8. And what I would do is cross them out as I go. I'd probably have to have this on Kami to do it well. Now we've created a line plot. So let's go to the second page of this unit. You've got to plot. All of this science makes Saul and his friends thirsty. They're practicing line plots by exploring how much water they drink in a day. You guys, are you good at drinking water? I'm trying to drink more right now. So here's the data. It's just in a loose format. We're going to draw a line like we did before and write the title, which is students' water consumption in liters. We have to know the unit. Next, we find the smallest and largest amounts. Who can see the smallest amount in that list of numbers? Who knows?
Smallest amount.
Yeah, which one of those is the smallest amount?
3/4.
3/4. Do you guys agree? I agree. What about the largest amount?
2
3/4.
2 3/4. Okay, so we have to go between 3/4 and 2 3/4. We're going to make our line. We're going to put 3/4 at one end, 2 3/4 at the other. Okay. Our next step is count how many values we have. So we're doing fourths here. So you're going to have between 3/4 and 1, there's just 1/4 left. So that's 1 space. And then between 1 and 2, there's going to be 4/4 or 3 tick marks. The trick is that the tick marks, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, create 4 little separations because each time you divide things, you make 2, right? And then between 2 3/4, you have 3 more. So 1 plus these 3 is 7. And we put those little ticks in at even spaces. So for me, it's a matter of saying, well, you know, honestly, sometimes it's easier to draw the whole shape, divide it up, and then just start at the 3/4, if that makes sense. Because it's hard to start at 3/4 and figure out how many spaces to make. Then you're going to add little check marks for every single one of these. So you start with this one, 2 1/2, and you put a check mark. Then you go to 3/4 and you put a check mark. Then you go to 2 1/2 and put a check mark, right? And finally, you're going to interpret the data. Oh, this is a different one. All right. So again, these are the steps they're having you go through. Practicing line plots. Here's a worksheet that you can load in Kami and practice on and try to put on the data. Which line plot represents the data set below? Is it that one, or that one? Let's see. We would start with 2 1/2. I'm going to draw this on Kami. Is this the assignment for this one, or is it a quiz? We'll have a look and see what the assignment is. It's not due today, it's due tomorrow. But let's have a look. Or maybe it is due today, I'm not sure. 1201, a fraction of the fair. Yeah, this activity is our project. It's a different one. But you can still practice with this one. So let's practice together. We're going to start. Liam, we can hear you, honey. With the 2 1/2, and we're going to put an X mark on. So here it is. I'm just going to put a dot by it to show that I've done that one. Does everybody have a 2 1/2? Yep, everybody has a 2 1/2. How many 2 1/2s are there? Let's look. 1 2 1/2, 2 2 1/2s, 3 2 1/2s. Well, there's 3 2 1/2s here, so that's good. There are only 2 2 1/2s here. This is not it. There are 3 2 1/2s here, so that's good. And that's that. So let's go to the next number. How about 4? There's only 1 4. Let's see if everybody has 1 4. 1 4, 1 4. Okay, that didn't help. A 2. Does everybody have just 1 2? 2, 1 2, 1 2. That didn't help. Let's try 2 3/4. There's 1 of them. 2 of them. 2 3/4. There's 2 of them. Oh, look, there's no 2 3/4. This one's out. Let's look down here. 2 3/4. 2 of them. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. So you just have to keep checking until you can find the one that represents the data. The second practice set here, based on the data set, choose true or false. a total of 38 hours was spent studying. So when they're talking about the data set, they're talking about those numbers up there. So we need to see how many hours were spent studying. So we're going to look at this and add up the hours. So we have 2 hours here. We have 3 of these. So 4, 6, 8, and then the halves added together, 9 and a half, 10 and a half, 11 and a half, 12 and a half, 13 and a half. And then the 2 3/4 added together makes 1 and a half. So 12 and a half, 13 and a half, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You have to keep adding. 20, 21, 22 and a half. That's another half. That's 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 and 3/4. I got 27 3/4, but you know what? It would take a while to add this up. So in this case, you're going to look at each number. So you're going to go 2 here. Then you're going to go 2 times 2 1/4 is going to be 4 and a half. So you're going to have to add that up, 4 and a half for each one. Oh, no. Sorry, I did that wrong. So you know what? I'm going to switch to this because this is going to make more sense. So I look at the first one and I say, well, that's 2. 2. Plus, we have 1 at 2. Oops, that's not a plus. Plus 1 at 2 1/4. So 2 and 1/4. Plus 3 times 2 1/2. Let's do that work right now. What is 3 times 2 1/2? 3 times 2 1/2. Well, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1/2 is 1 1/2. So that's 7 1/2. You guys agree? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to get it wrong. So let's go over here and do plus 7 1/2. Okay, and now we go to the next one. 2 3/4 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. And 3/4 times 2, if I borrow one of the quarters, that makes another one. So 2 3/4 times 2 equals 4. And then the 3/4 is 1 1/2. So that's 5 1/2. Does that seem right? I'm doing this kind of fast, but anyway, let's add the 5 1/2 down here. So you have to be really careful with these and keep adding them one at a time. All right, and then we go to the next one, 3 1/4. They're honestly, they're kind of a pain. It's a lot easier to do this on paper. So we had 1 times 3 1/4. We have 1 times 3 1/2. 3 1/2. We have 1 times 3 3/4. 3 3/4. And we have 1 times 4 equals, let's add all the whole numbers up. So 2, 3, 4, and 7 is 11, and 5 is 16, and 3 is 19, and 3 is 22, and 3 is 25, and 4 is 29 whole numbers, plus 1/4. Let's put the quarters together. 1/4 plus this 1/4 is 1/2. 1/2 and 1/2 is 1. So we got 1 1/2 plus another half is 2 plus 3/4 is 2 3/4. Okay. So that's 29, 30, 31 3/4. Is that the same that we got last time or not? So this is not accurate. We're going to go over here and say false. The difference, there's a difference of 2 hours between the longest and shortest amount. So when you're finding difference, you have to look at your longest, which is 4, and subtract your shortest, which is 2. And that comes out 2. And then we have to check and make sure it's hours. Yep, 2 hours. So that's true. The most common study time was 2.5 hours. If it's most common, that means most people did that. So wait. 2.5 hours. Let's see. 2.5 hours was the most. Yep, that's true. And finally, most of the time spent studying was over 3 hours. Well, I'm thinking not, because we only have 4 people. But when you talk about most of the time, You'd have to add it all up. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13,
Miss
14.
Loss,
Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this the actual assignment?
No, this is not. This is the one we're practicing on. That's why I'm doing it with you, so that you'll understand it. So when they say most of the time spent studying, it's a hard question, because if they said like most of the students studied more than 3 hours, you'd know it was false. But when they say most of the time, you have to look at the total time of 31 hours and say, how much of it was spent over 3 hours? Well, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. And then when you add the 1/4 and the 3/4, that's 14.5 hours. 14.5 hours was spent. Is 14.5 more than half of 31? Nope, it's not. So that one's going to be false. All right. Here they're going to have you make a line plot. Find the lowest number. What's our lowest number here? Who sees the lowest number? Liam, Amadi, Vivi, Mila, Javen. Who sees the lowest number?
2.
2. Okay, 2 is our lowest number. We're going to put that there. What's our highest number?
3.
Okay. Between 2 and 3, we know this is going to be 2.5 because it's exactly halfway. But we have a whole bunch of quarters on there, and we have 8ths. So this is going to be 2 1/4, right? When you split 1/4 in half, you get an 1/8. Oops, sorry, I don't want to write up there because I have to put my X's up there. So this one, the first thing you're going to do is try to figure out how to break your shape up. So this is 2 1/8. This is 2 2/8, or 1/4. This is 2 3/8. But we've got numbers like 7/8. So we got to keep going. This is 2 4/8. Right here, we got to go halfway in between and say that this is 2 3/4, right? This is 1/4, because 1/4 is between a half. So this is, if this is 3/8, this is 4/8, this is 2 5/8. The 3/4 is the same as 6/8, and then the final spot is 7/8. 2 7/8. And then we just have to plot. So we'll start out and we'll put our 3s on. There's 1 3, X, X. Put our 2s on. There's 2 2s. So I got to go X, X here. Then let's just start. 2 1/4, there's 1. 2 1/4, there's another. 2 1/4, there's a third. 2 5/8, there's 1. 2 5/8, there's another. 2 7/8, there's 1. 2 1/4, there's another one. Oh, there's 4 of them. Or did I not mark that one off? Let's check. Oh no, there's 4 of them. Wow. Okay, I crossed all of these out. What's left? 2 7/8 again. Another one. Make sure you're careful with these. And finally, my last number, 2 1/2. One of them. All right, I've made my graph. It's a little sloppy, but I've made it. Oh, they made you a line and they put the dividers in it. Didn't see that. All right, I'm going to stop my share. You don't have to turn in anything for today, but you need to go through lesson 1201 and be ready to do it tomorrow. 1201, it's got an assignment, so you might want to start it today and finish it tomorrow. It's due. Am I right that it's due tomorrow? Let me double check. Today is Thursday, 1201. Yeah, it's due tomorrow. It's an assignment due tomorrow. So yes, it's due tomorrow. And then when you're done with 1201, you can work on the spiral review. You can work on a dream box. If you haven't done it yet, finish the end of mod 11 test. I think it was 11.0, was it 9 yesterday? I think. So there's what you're doing. Vivi, yep.
Did you answer my question? Did you just call my
Sorry,
name?
I didn't see your question. You want to repeat it?
Oh. So when are we? So can I do my thing right now,
Yeah, your interview.
yeah.
Yes, we'll go to a breakout room and do that. I'm gonna have the book club go into the first room, and I'm gonna open the room so people can choose rooms to go work in. And Vivi, you and I can go into room 2. And if you guys want to work with a partner on this one, you can, if that's what you're asking me. Okay. Any other questions? So Vivi, if you go in room 2, I'll join you there in just a second when I get done with questions. Okay, so you guys go